Indigenous Climate Action is Canada's premier Indigenous-led climate justice organization. It's an organization that really focuses on building the capacity of Indigenous communities to be climate champions and to promote the things that Indigenous communities are doing on the ground.
So Indigenous voices do really need to be involved and supported and elevated into leadership.
The ICA team as it exists now is a group of amazing, dedicated, powerful Indigenous women who had been at the forefronts of challenging extractive industries. Even my entire journey in Indigenous Climate Action is really rooted in a personal struggle of my community facing the largest industrial project on planet Earth and finding all of these allies along the way, but knowing that there has to be so many more, and that the tar sands, while it's super, super bad, is a symptom of a larger problem. It's a symptom of the fact that Indigenous groups have been marginalized and left out of the equation on what economic development looks like, what sustainable development looks like, what climate solutions look like, what policies look like. So while we're the first and foremost to be impacted by climate change and the changing ecosystems on the planet, we are actually the first to be able to build solutions to adapt and be resilient to them because of those intimate relationships with the lands and ecosystems. So some of the stuff we're really working on is building an Indigenous knowledge climate change toolkit. So it's like recentering, how do we talk about climate change?
The idea is to make knowledge about climate change more relevant to Indigenous communities and experience. So we'd like to make the existing knowledge more relatable and usable to our own communities. And then we'd also like to flip it so that Indigenous knowledge and experience can be validated on its own terms.
We're working with communities that are at the front lines of climate mitigation and land defense to promote it and educate the public that the fact that these are, in fact, climate mitigation strategies and necessary to the arsenal on how we're going to address the climate crisis. I hope that we can address the climate crisis from a human rights perspective and an Indigenous rights perspective, and that we find a way to achieve climate justice. And we need to reconnect with who we are as humanity, and we need to uphold those that are most connected to those places.